Now, I'd like to invite Signe Kongebro, Director of the Latin Architecture from Denmark, to come to the stage. Please welcome her with a big hand.
Thank you for having me today. It's my first time in Korea, and I am doing 2 talks today. And the first one I will do is a very condensated one. That's why I need a piece of paper to support so I get all the points. I will talk about trends in green building in Europe, and I will actually only talk about one trend as I see it. And it's daylight. Daylight is a free resource and the strongest means of creating value-based architecture. And this presentation, I will go through some of the aspects of why daylight is a perfect tool to create a sustainable future. Daylight is perhaps the mean that creates the longest chain of reaction from soft dollar to hard dollar that can actually be a dialogue, a communication tool in creation of future buildings. This is from our School of Architecture in the north part of Sweden. Daylight is nature, so it's part of nature. It has always been here. It is existing everywhere in the world. And architecture and buildings is sort of containing daylight in a perfect balance. So what architects has been doing for the last 2,000 years has been understanding nature and daylight and holding it in the right way, filtering the daylight through the openings. I put daylight in the middle, and then I put out 5 different aspects that are all part of a sustainable building strategy. Daylight improves spatial experiences of buildings and the quality of thermal and visual indoor climate. I mean, that's the essence, in a way, of making space. But in a way, you can say that this is from a user perspective, but this is also needed to be seen over time. How does this work for a third party or for a person or a company buying a building with a certain potential? So this daylight about architecture and daylight also relates to existing buildings. This is part of the whole configuration of the building and is designed in the very early stages when you do a project. So it's actually part of the first maybe 2-4 weeks of a project, and it will last for maybe 100 years. This is from our school in Copenhagen. This is from our building in Iceland. This is a building we got the Mies van der Rohe prize for in June, and it's a concert and conference center. And this is a beautiful example of how you see people interact with nature and relationship with the daylight. And the way we organize both the functions inside, but also filtering the light and understanding the weather boundary in a new way is part of the experience of this building. Energy. Energy is the most efficient strategy to obtain energy reduction. We have done a lot of research, and I will come back to this later today when I do the presentation, Design with Knowledge. But we have found out that doing the daylight concept right from the beginning, we cut off between 20 and 30% of the energy performance of the building, just by designing the light right. And that's a huge influence you have, not only on the energy, but of course of the whole configuration of the building, the understanding of the building. This is the first low energy town hall in, I might say Europe, but it's definitely in Denmark. It has an energy performance of 40 kilowatt hours per square meter per year. And it is not using any renewables at all. You can say that architects, and myself, and I think I speak for all architects in a way, that we talk about the quality of light. Is the light good enough? How do we understand light? How do we get spiritually happy about the quality of the daylight, the sun ray and everything? But it's not only a question about if the light is good, but it's also a question of, is there enough light? And the amount of light. So we need to measure. And that's what I mean about the soft dollar and the hard dollar. It's also about, money saved for artificial lighting, the ventilation balance and so on. And we need to speak this language as architects, otherwise we will be lost, I think, in the discussion of creating a sustainable future. This is the language that's spoken right now, and this is the evidence you need to put on the table. And of course you bring in all the other values that architects always have been working with, but still this is a way to communicate with a wide range of building people in the building industry. This is a new museum we have done in Denmark. It's a low energy performing building. It has a usage of 41 kilowatt hour per square meter per year, and it actually contains the oldest man in Denmark. It's a guy, he's 3,000 years old. And of course you can say when you do a museum, it's such a controlled environment, and the whole balance of where do you actually put in the daylight is very important, because it's a controlled environment like this space we're sitting in right now, where it's about staging something else, and in that way daylight can be creating a lot of trouble. So here it's about organizing the daylight's concept right. I completely agree about the retrofitting system ideas in the previous presentation. In Denmark, it's like this, that when you close your eyes and you think about renovation, everybody thinks about insulation. This is just, maybe it's a lobby, I don't know, but it's just like that. So when we talk about renovation of the Danish building stock, everybody thinks about thick walls. And this is why we did a research project trying to investigate if we use daylight as the only tool of renovation. Is that possible to do that? Can we use this without all the other stuff, but only daylight? And up here in the corner, I'm not sure if this is working. No. It's an image of a completely ordinary home in a Northern European apartment. The building, that could be the living room. So this kind of windows is typical. The daylight factor in that room is 1.9%, and on the other side you will see an image of the daylight calculation. The energy performance of this building is 165 kilowatt hours per square meter per year, almost the same as in Italy. It's a brick wall. It's very simple. It's 100 years old. It's in a way it's robust, solid, and it has worked for generations. If we put in a new type of window, we're not talking about high-tech windows, we're talking about 2 layers of glazing, and if we put in a French window, we create 30% more daylight immediately, and you also create an energy reduction of 25%. You can say, is that ambitious enough? I don't know, but we have a lot of those homes, and that could actually be value creation for the people living in these apartments. The reason why it happens is because the whole facade has such a bad U value that just by changing the old window and the old part below the window, you will get this reduction. This is definitely a strategy, and we call it daylight renovation. In terms of comfort, increasing the amount of daylight in a working environment will increase the productivity with 18%. These numbers varies, I think, in different societies, but we must reckon that daylight has a huge impact on the balance, on the well-being of human beings. Not only the comfort of, you can say, the body itself, but also the relationship to nature, to time. You will see the sun moves, you will see the shadow and the light in the room. So this understanding of being, present right now is very important, because you use the daylight to navigate and orientate throughout the day. I will show you an example of a study we did for the architecture school in Sweden. The design group in the office, they want to have this. It's a very compact building with a very high floor slab. It's almost 4 meters between the red lines, and they want to have this very dotted look on the facade all the way around. And we talked about that you need 30% opening in that area. It's very north, no solar shading, because the sun ray, it's not so hot up there. The solar gain is low. And we organized, the facade in this way, that you would have most in the middle, less lowest, and more on the top. And by these principles, they could have a robust design strategy to carry out the vision for the building without compromising the energy performance of the building. And the result is more important, because you got an average daylight factor of 3% in this building, which is part of the EU standards of 2020. So we are going to in Europe to decrease energy performance, but increase the daylight with 50% in Denmark. So that's a contradiction that we need to handle in a very balanced way. Regarding health, the human benefits of daylight cannot be provided by artificial lighting. Daylight has a great impact on human health. I'm not going to talk about all the results on why we need daylight, but a lot of studies and research has been done, and we talk about that people need a daily daylight shower of 2,500 lux per day. Of course, you have more lux here than we have, so you can stay out in a shorter time than we do, but we need to stay out exposed or close to a window for maybe 1 hour each day. Otherwise, our balance will be very poor, and we will be exposed for a lot of diseases, diabetes, cancer, and so on. So it has a huge influence on how our body actually functions. New research scientifically proves that patients' hospitalization is reduced by a day every time the daylight increases with 100 lux. I know it's a lot of numbers here, but there is it's proven that there is a relationship in lux and health. And you can't provide this kind of lux with artificial lighting because you need the color, all the colors that is in the daylight. You need that to do this to your body. When you have these kind of lights, it's only very poor color range that you will receive. You need both the blue and the red. Sorry, and this is from our spa in Denmark that we have done. And this is from a hospital we have done in Norway. And of course you can say here we have no exposed. It's not. It faces towards the north, so you will sort of use the daylight on a reflected way on the trees and so on. So you can work with the daylight in many ways. And this is a new hospital we're doing in Denmark. Economy. Daylight ensures reduced energy cost and increases the market value. Of course, the first sentence is very clear because this is actually what it's about, that the meter actually goes very slow when you shut off the artificial light. But increase the market value is very important because this is where the real value is created. And this is not only about the present situation that you have a developer or a client that want to create a beautiful building with high quality of daylight, but it's also a question of, is it possible for this person to sell this building or bring in new tenants that has a different space planning, a different organization, and is the building ready to do that without a big renovation? So flexibility is definitely part of the whole market value and is determined by the daylight and geometry of the building. This is the Spiegel headquarter we have done in Germany. And this is all cell offices, which is a very tough thing to do because it has a lot of energy consumption. But if you do one of these rooms, if you spend a lot of time to actually develop that cell office and you multiply it, you can get a huge reduction instead of just focusing on the foyer or something else. You need to be very aware of where is consumption placed in the building. We do a lot of research in the office, and this is taken from one of the scientific papers. We studied this is a Northern Europe situation, but we studied how does the daylight actually come in between the buildings, because this is definitely about the urban situation, the urban configuration. I think more or less everybody in my country knows how to do a well-designed, sustainable building, more or less. But to work in it with this in an urban condition, with neighbors and possible neighbors, regenerating the cities is very complex. And this is just a study of how we do different research studies before we actually do design proposals. This is our King Abdullah Financial District in Saudi Arabia. It's under construction. It consists of 4 million square meters, and they are building it now. Right now, they are almost done. I would not almost, but maybe 2/3 ahead. The whole idea with this financial district is about. Is about creating a cool island effect between the buildings. We have an existing wadi in the green area with a higher humidity, and what is important for us in this project is to create a situation around this wadi, emphasizing the lower temperature in that area, and how can the buildings actually support the cool island effect. So we build up a master plan around this area, and we also, I have to say, we have also claim in this project that the people will go out of their cars. I'm not sure, it's a very different society from both the Europeans, but also from here, since you have division in genders and so on. But our ambition is actually to make a street where people can go out of their cars and feel comfortable in walking also during the summer. And it's of course about how we configure this master plan right, and how we organize the different facades in our design manual. We have done the master plan and design manual, and different architects are doing all the buildings. But we also put out a design manual for facade types in this area, so you will have a lot of reflected light. The point right now is that when you go in that green area, the temperature is lowered by 8 degrees from being outside the master plan, and it's not even completed. So I'm very satisfied about this small goal. You can say there's many buildings, many square meters with a lot of energy consumption, but still, for me, the ambition of making cool island between the buildings has succeeded so far. Later today, I will go deeper into this project, so you can know more about exact details. Thank you, and I would like to say, finally, sustainability is more than technology, and daylight is more than architecture. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Signe Kongebro, for your esteemed opinion.